What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to jump in and talk about a bunch of Destiny 2 Forsaken news. We've got quite a bit to talk about right here, so we're going to speak about exotic quests. We know that the Wishender quest does have a time gate, but we have some new information about the Malfeasance quest, and that one's actually going to become rarer after the upcoming reset. I'll talk about why in just a moment. I also want to talk about the cycle of content in the game, and we're going to speak about Savathun, her plan, and her influence, and what's happening in Dreaming City, and how that is actually going to link to future content. So some really cool stuff there. But we're also going to talk about the final wish on the wish wall in the Last Wish raid, and it looks like this is going to unlock some kind of secret. We're going to talk about new loot keys, upcoming content very soon. We've got Festival of the Lost, and a bunch of other information to round up in this video, guys. So if you do enjoy it, a rating below is very much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe if you want to see more Destiny content. But for now, let's get into it. So let's talk about some of this exotic stuff first. Of course, we had the Wishender quest come up earlier this week, and we know that the mission for this Shattered Throne, will actually only be available every 3 weeks, so it is going to disappear on the upcoming weekly reset. But also, we have the Malfeasance quest available right now in the game, and to get the quest, you'll have to defeat the rare Primeval boss in Gambit, and this can take quite a while to summon. You know, some people will get it in a couple of hours. I've seen a lot of Reddit posts saying they've played hundreds of matches and still haven't seen it. So it's very RNG, and that is causing a bit of frustration right now. But Cosmo dropped the bomb on Reddit, so somebody asked about the Malfeasance boss and if it's permanent. Cosmo said the boss will continue to spawn after the reset, but it's more likely to spawn during the full curse weeks. And of course, we're in a full curse week right now, that is up until Tuesday. And so essentially, while this boss is rare at the moment, it's about to become rarer after the weekly reset. So I figured I'd get that information out to you guys. Some people have been farming like crazy to try and get this quest, and for anyone who really wants it, this is pretty useful information. If you have any time that you can put in before the reset, it's definitely worth it. Cosmo's statement also essentially confirms that there is no potential trigger for the boss, because I've seen a lot of people speculating about that. Is there something that you can do to actually make it spawn? Which seemed pretty unlikely anyway. However, this statement pretty much confirms that that's the case, and it is pure RNG. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, guys, down below. I actually haven't played a ton of Gambit this week to try and get the quests, so, you know, I haven't got lucky. I haven't been unlucky. All I can really speak to is some of the frustration I've seen on Reddit, on the forums, and in the YouTube comments about how rare this can actually be. So let me know your experiences down below, but do bear in mind, after Tuesday, the Malfeasance boss will be a rarer spawn. Next, I wanted to briefly talk about Dreaming City, the cycle of content, and what's actually going on in the game, because this does hint to something that will happen in the future. So we're going to talk about Savathun, of course one of Oryx's sisters, and this links to Dreaming City and Riven in Dreaming City as well, going all the way back to the Taken War. So of course, in the Taken War, Morro was killed, Oryx entered the system, and at some point after Morro's death, Oryx actually assaulted the Dreaming City, and that's where the kind of initial Taken infestation actually came from. During this assault, Oryx actually took Riven, and that's how Riven became a Taken enemy. And then of course, in the time since we destroyed Oryx, we've actually seen Savathun's presence grow in the system. And it turns out that Savathun actually made a deal with Riven. She promised to set Riven free if she could be granted the wish to set the Dreaming City into an endless cycle of Taken infestation. Obviously, Savathun is a trickster, so that never happened. But when this wish was granted, Savathun's daughter, Dol Inkaru, was actually able to assault the city, and that's why we see Dol Inkaru in the Shattered Throne. And basically, Savathun is using this energy, this war in the Dreaming City, to become more powerful. And this is going to be an endless cycle. That was part of the wish, that this would actually never end. And that's why the curse grows and grows as we fight it, and then we finally defeat it, and it simply starts again. So obviously this is really huge, because this is how Savathun is growing stronger, and we're actually playing into that. We're playing a pretty big part in it, because we're constantly trying to take back the Dreaming City, and in turn, we're essentially feeding Savathun. So that's just a small segment of the lore around the Dreaming City, but it's the one that links the most to future content, because we've constantly been teased that Savathun is going to turn up, and this is just the next step in that process. So it's pretty cool stuff, and that's why we're going to see this endless cycle. And I guess in terms of actual in-game content, we'll see some of the missions repeat as we go through different curse weeks. Bungie have teased about a story involving Eris Dull and Karud and Savathun actually continuing over a very long period of time. So it looks like we'll actually get some new quest or mission content, and this is also hinted at via the wish wall in the Last Wish raid. There are 3 more wishes that can't be found right now, and every time we've had a new piece of content actually come up, a new wish, or the plate which actually displays the icon, has been found. So folks are definitely scanning for these. A lot of them seem to be found in the current content, so I'd guess that there will be more in upcoming content, Ascendant challenges, and areas that we haven't been to yet. But speaking of the wishes, when you look through the descriptions, you get all different lines of text. So the 12th wish is a wish to open your mind to new ideas. You've got the 8th wish, a wish to stay here forever, a wish for others to celebrate your success. And these are just lines of text. But then when you get the 15th wish, this is actually from Riven. So it says, "This one you shall cherish, Riven of 1,000 voices." And so considering that one actually has a line from Riven, it seems like it definitely could trigger something else, something more interesting, perhaps a loot drop, perhaps a quest or an area where you can get a significant item. I haven't personally seen anyone actually get the raid ghost shell, the Wishmaker shell, and considering the name and the description for ghosts whose guardians dared to dream, maybe you could get this when you put in the 15th wish, but that's just loose speculation. There could be something a bit more exciting than that potentially. Either way, it seems pretty likely that the final 3 wishes, including the last wish, with the quote from Riven, will be found probably in the next week or so. There is a wish that you can put in to get an ethereal key, and this is the key that we typically use right now to open the chests in the raid. There's also the glittering key, and this one has been dropping at the final boss, and it allows you to open a secret chest. But then there are actually 2 other keys. So we have the celestial key and the imperial key. These could be exclusively for the prestige mode, or they could be keys that give you, better drop chances at exotics, maybe a better drop chance at 1,000 voices. They could potentially come from the wish wall still, but it definitely looks like those hidden keys, the 2 other ones, will be used for something that we haven't seen yet, so that's pretty cool. Final couple of things I wanted to mention though. Bungie have actually registered a new trademark for the name Matter, and we can see right here a graphic representation of this. This is the one that's actually registered alongside the trademark. Bungie only registered this a couple of days ago, and some folks on Reddit were speculating about it. We simply have no idea what this is. Bungie did get a pretty big investment a few months ago. I believe it was from an Asian publisher, and this was to develop other titles, so potentially this could be one of them, or it could be some other completely separate service or something. Honestly, I have no idea, but it is pretty interesting that this has happened. Of course, we've got a ton of content back in Destiny to think about before we think about anything else though. I'd imagine there are a couple more secrets at the very least hidden inside of Forsaken. And then we've got Festival of the Lost coming back, and this is probably going to be within a couple of weeks' time, so maybe this week or next week Bungie will talk about it. And it could be a pretty interesting one. We've only seen one screenshot showing the tower. Some folks speculated that the character you can see right in the middle there could be Master Ives. It does look quite a bit like him. It would be interesting because this was the Cryptarch in the Reef in Destiny 1, so maybe this will be linked to some stuff there. Considering how Solstice of Heroes was, I'm certainly hopeful that this will be, a pretty gameplay oriented event with some cool rewards. We're going to find out about it very soon, and then of course we get Black Armory coming in December, so a couple of months really now. Before we end the video, the design team for Gambit actually gave some new information and clarification on the Primeval Slayer buff that you see inside of Gambit. So of course, that's the buff that you get during the boss fight that allows you to do more damage. And Bungie say there appear to be some misconceptions about the Primeval Slayer buff in Gambit, particularly with how the leading team's buff count affects the trailing teams, so we'd like to take the opportunity to shed some light on it. Our intent for the Primeval phase is that the team that summons first gains advantage. The number of Primeval Slayer stacks held is unique to each team. If one team is significantly advanced in their Primeval Slayer stacks, the team that is behind receives bonus stacks when spawning their own Primeval. However, the number of bonus stacks received is always going to be less than the leading team's current total. Think of it as a tow cable trailing behind the leading team. There is a limit to the catch-up mechanic's generosity. Even if the leading team is at Primeval Slayer 10, the lagging team will never start out with more than a few stacks when spawning their Primeval. Our twin goals have been hitting the right balance between elasticity and competitiveness and fostering close dynamic games. We're closely monitoring the conversation around Primeval phase. Happy hunting, the Gambit design team. So that is actually how it works. I had seen a lot of people say that basically the Primeval stacks will be the same for both teams. And so if you're in the lead and you're actually, increasing those stacks, you are giving them to the enemy team, but that is not the case. The stacks are always individual. If a team is lagging behind, it will be given some bonus stacks when they spawn the Primeval. We don't know exactly what the numbers are there, but Bungie say, it's nowhere near to what the team in the lead would have. So that's just a bit of clarification on how the Primeval Slayer buff works. I guess it's useful information as well, considering that there is the Malfeasance boss actually able to spawn into Gambit, although that's very rare. Anyway guys, that's going to summarize what I wanted to talk about for today. Let me know your thoughts on the Malfeasance boss and that spawn rate actually reducing over the next couple of weeks. I'd love to hear your thoughts about Savathun and what's going on in Dreaming City, and the potential new content coming linked to that story. I will keep you posted on all the news right here, so if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe. If you've enjoyed this video, a like below is super appreciated. But for now guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you very soon. And I hope you have an awesome day.